Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's time for the first mission inspiration for 2023. Another round of art challenges is about to begin. So what I want to do first is create my journal that I'm going to be using for all of my mission inspiration, all the main mission inspirations throughout 2023. So let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll show you what I'm going to do for my journal, and then I'll create my first page. Okay, overhead camera focused and ready to go. So this is the paper that I'm going to be using for my mission inspiration journal for 2023. As you can see, it's Daler Rowney and it's a mixed media multi-technique paper. Now the size that I've got is 16.5 inches by 11.7 inches, whatever that is. A3 in size, so 420 by 297 millimeters. Poundage, as you can see, 250 GSM or 169 pound for watercolor paper. Take that with a pinch of salt. It really depends on the type of paper that it is. Watercolor cardstock will be slightly different to this stuff because weight is worked out by what the type of paper is. I know, weird. So that's what I've done. So I've pulled 4 sheets from the pad. I've already cut one. So obviously there's perforations down one side, which are no good to anybody. So let me just show you what I'm going to do to cut it down. So let me just move those out of the way. So I have my paper trimmer here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just to pop the card underneath, and then I'll line it up on the 16-inch mark there. And then I'm going to trim off the perforations. And then I'm going to push the cardstock over to 8 inches. And then using the creasing tool, I'm going to put a crease at the 8-inch mark. I'm then going to fold it over along that crease mark and then turn it with the fold to the top. And then I'm going to take it back to that 8-inch mark. Now I'm going to cut mine at 8 inches. If you're using this cardstock and you want your journal to be a little bit bigger, then you could go as far along as it'll let you. So I've now got a 4-page folio. There's one that I did earlier. I just need another 2. So I'll pop off and do those, and then I'll join with you when I've done those. Okay, so that effectively is my new 8x8 art journal. Now, as you can see, because of the thickness, I'm hoping that the camera's picking that up and it's not too bright, because of the thickness of the cardstock, as you've layered your pages on the inside, the inner ones stick out further at this side, just by a little bit. That's called creep. Now if I wanted to, I could bring my craft knife in and just trim them all back so that they're all flush with that edge. I could do that, but I'm not that bothered. I don't mind a little bit of creep on the outside, so I'm going to leave that as it is. All I need to do now is to bind these together. Now I can either stitch them together by just doing a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch, or because I'm going to be using this every single month and I'm going to be opening it and closing it and that kind of stuff, I don't want to put any kind of real stress on any of the stitching. So instead, just for this journal, I'm going to staple it. So I'll get my tools out for stapling and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've got out here is a piece of foam, which is what I use for a pricking mat. So if I'm pricking through with a pokey tool or the needle or with anything sharp, this is what I use just so that I'm not poking holes in my worktop. It's quite thick. It's probably about 1/2 inch thick. And I've also added a couple of bulldog clips just to the outers. Now I'm doing it with the fold upper. So I'm going to lay that down. Now I can see from the angle that I'm looking at here that I've got all those creases all lined up together. So I'm just going to take a ruler. Let's just use the inch side because it's easier. And I'm going to grab a pencil. If I can find one that isn't a Stabilo old pencil, that'll do. And I'm just going to put a little mark where the inch is and another little mark where the inch is at that side. Bearing in mind this is 8 inches, so an inch in from the bottom and an inch in from the top, that'll do. I'm then going to take my stapler and I'm going to open it so it's completely wide. And then I'm going to lay it down. Now I will have to probably change cameras on this one, so just bear with me a second. Okay, so can you see where I'm laying that part of the stapler along the edge of the crease? And I've laid it so that the uppermost point of the stapler here is where the pencil mark is. Now I'm hoping that I can do this one-handed, so you'll have to bear with me. So just gently push down all the way through, like that. And then you can repeat the process at this side, but this time doing it so the bottom part of the staple is lined up with the bottom part of the mark. And then just gently push through. When you turn it over, you've got the bits of the staple poking up, and you just have to fold those over with a bone folder. Let me just see if I've got one handy. I've got a lolly stick, that'll do. A tongue depressor. And I can just push that over, and do the same at that side. Apologise for the shakiness, but I'm doing this one-handed. Okay, so back to the overhead. Okay, so I've now got a stapled journal that now has 16 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into the middle, and then 8 on the other side. Now obviously the outer 2 are going to be covers, which then will leave me with 12 sides on the inside, one for each month of 2023. So that's my basic journal created for all the art challenges for 2023. Okay, so now on to the first challenge of 2023. Okay, so these are the prompts for January. So we've returned back to the time when we had ingredients. Now I've dropped all the colours for inspiration this year, so doing something a little bit different. I've kept the words for inspiration, which are here on the right hand side, but we've now got a list of 8 ingredients. Now these ingredients can be added to the page in any order that you see fit, and you can also, if you wish, it is permitted and allowed, to incorporate 2 together. So for example, let's have a look what we've got. We'll add a single focal image, but one of the words for inspiration is triangle. So perhaps your focal image is going to be either in a triangle shape or maybe even in a heart shape. You can add and combine as many as you want to. Okay, so the first one, we're going to glue torn book text paper fragment. So let's start raiding the stash. Okay, so I've raided my stash. Now I've got 2 pages from an old dictionary that was falling apart. I've gone through the dictionary and I've actually pulled out the pages for triangle and also spectrum. So those are 2 of the words for inspiration. So I'm going to use these, I think, for my art journal page. So I've got my decal-edged rulers. I think I'm going to use the smaller of the two, seeing as it's fairly delicate paper. Let's just move the journal out of the way for a second, and then I can just gently tear the page down that way, and then I can flip it over. I'm hoping I've got enough purchase at this side sometimes it's more difficult when you've not got a huge amount. You turn it over that way and then take it from the top again. There we go. So I've now got a nice kind of deckly edge to that bit. And then let's pop that to one side and grab the triangle bit. Triangular. Look at that, an exact match with a ruler. Right, I don't think I'm going to take any more from that side, so let's bring back the art journal. Okay, let me see if I can just zoom in a little bit. There we go, and then we'll just see if we make sure that we're focused. It's trying. There we go. So I've got some matte medium, which I'm going to use for my glue. I haven't gessoed the page. Didn't really think it was necessary. Right. Before I glued anything down, so let's see if we can get these glued down. And I'm not too bothered about having any wrinkly bits. I'll just work out any kind of creases or bubbles that might pop up. Just add a little bit more. Okay, so let's lay that triangle piece down. Just trying to get it straight or straightish. Don't mind if there's a little bit of lifting. I'll just quickly go over the rest of it. Cool. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to take some of these pieces that's left over, and I'm going to add, might as well use up the rest of it. So I'm just going across in horizontals, just to kind of break the page up a little bit. And do another one. And then we'll just break that across on that section. Not particularly bothered that you can't read the word spectrum, we know it's there. And that's good enough. Again, we sometimes lose sight of the fact that when we do art journaling, we do it for ourselves, not for other people. So as long as we know what's on the page, that's all that really matters. So what I'm going to do is just add a little piece down this side just to break it up, and do the same thing over here. I don't even mind if it's upside down. Let's just add another little piece up there. One more bit, I think. I think that will do. Okay, drop that into some water, get this dried off, get this cleaned up. I'll get that back in the pot, don't worry, I'm not going to waste it. Those book text fragments are now dry. So the next step is to add a thin layer of gesso or colour. Well, actually, I'm going to do both. So I've got some white gesso here. This is the Gesso Good from Indigo Blue. I'm just going to give it a quick shake. And I've also got some Indigo Blue Artist Translucent acrylic paint. Now this is Rossetti Red, which is a beautiful kind of heritagey, earthy kind of beautiful red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of gesso on my brush, and then I'm going to take a smaller brush and just take some of that Rossetti Red and put that down next to it. And I'm going to mix a little bit, mix some in, and then I'm going to just brush the gesso across the page. Now, bearing in mind I have got matte medium already down on the page, which has kind of sealed the page as it is, which means that I am going to be able to manoeuvre some of the paint if I want to in that background. Just grab some more of that white, just straight in while it's still wet. Cool. A bit more of the white. And all I'm doing is just toning it down in areas where I think it's a bit too red. But also just adding some of that white into the background just to tone down the writing on the book text as well. There we go. A little bit more down the outside. Just pick a little bit of that up. There we go. A bit more white. Lovely. Nice bit of colour texture in the background. Let's get that cleaned up. Okay, so that's layer number 2 done. So number 3 is add stamping to your page. Okay, so I've got this stamp, Indigo Blue. It's a script stamp. So this is a replacement for an original one that I had forever, and this one is brand new because my old one was completely and utterly ruined. I'd had it. So what I've got to do is just got to work out which way is up and which way is down, and I should have paid attention when I took it off. Right, that way is up. So just with a quick pen, just for future reference, I now know which way is up and which way isn't. Okay, I'm not going to bother with a stamping block. I'm just going to ink up, and I'm using Stays On Jet Black, which is an oil-based ink, which means if I add any colour, any paint or colour afterwards, after I've stamped using this ink, then it's not going to move because it's permanent, it's oil-based. If I'd used a water-based ink, or if I use a water-based ink and then add water over the top of it, like a watery layer of paint, then the chances are the stamping would then move again, it would reactivate, and I don't want that. Here we go. One more, I think. I think this stays on, might actually be on its way out. I do have others somewhere. I can't find them since they're tidy up. Oh dear me. That'll do. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's stick that back, pop it away, and then I'll be right back once I've finished rattling. Okay, so stamping's done. So next is to add a single focal image. Right, okay, so I'm going to add another stamped image this time. So to do that, I've gone into my collection of very, very old stamps. I know, look at this one. This is so old, look, the plastic has gone yellow. Original CMS 024. So only the 24th set that Tim had ever released is on 300 and something now. Anyway, this one's so old it's got hair on it. Anyway, I'm going to use this image here. But I don't particularly want a fussy cut around this, so what I might do is I might just stamp both, cut that hat off and stick it on her there to make it different. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to stamp onto book text paper, which is what we've already used. This is the dictionary where I got my bits from. So what I want to do is I'm going to have a look to see if I can find the word grow, see whether or not it's still in there, because I may have already taken it out. Let's have a look. Grow, there we go, would you believe it? So very, very carefully I'm going to, oh no, don't, please don't. There we go. Let's get the stamping platform. Okay, my grungy stamping platform. And then we'll take the stamp from there and we'll stick that so that we've got as much of that wording from the word grow in there as we can. So that's the position there, and then I'll just stick those down there. Right in the corner. Okay, so let me see if I can try and find another one of those ink pads. Okay, found them. So I'm looking for a brown. Ganache. There is also in here, it's an olive green, purple, no, pumpkin, and I see spiced chai. Go with the ganache. I'll pop that one away while I've got these out. So archival ink or stays on will work just as well. Now then, we did say about sticking her down as well, didn't we? So let's just see if we can get them both in there together. I'm only interested in the hat, so that's fine. So let's just, I'm trying to do this so that I don't get too much glare. Actually, I may even just change my mind as to which of these focal images I'm going to use. I might. Let's just ink them both up and let's just see what happens. rather than use a collage image. Stamped images are just as effective. Yeah, well, see, I've gone off the page there now, so I can't. Never mind. Okay. Is that okay, I think? Yeah, I think so. I'm happy with that. I'll sort those stamps out, get them cleaned off later, but that'll do for now. I'm amassing a lovely little pile of detritus next to me here on the floor. And of course, I had a pair of scissors earlier. Small scissors. Oh dear, I've put them down somewhere and they've disappeared. Right, I'll be right back. They were right there. They were just right there. I don't know. The joys of getting old, eh? Right, so let's just double check to make sure that I can use the hat from that one. So we'll just quickly fussy cut this one out. I'm not particularly fussed, if you like, with my accuracy of the footy cutting. If it's a little bit off, that's fine. It just shows that it was done by human hands. Right, is it big enough? It is big enough. Excellent. So let's just cut that off there. Right, I'll just fussy cut this out and then I will be right back. Okay, so fussy cutty did. Let's grab some glue. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this purple glue just on that hat bit there. And then I can stick that over the top, like so. And then where there's a little bit of an overlap, I can just trim that off. So we now have a hybrid of the two stamps. So let's get rid of those bits and then bring my art journal page back in again. And then I can add her to the page. And why not? As soon as we've got the glue out, we might as well use that glue as well. Oops. You see, it just torn the wing, but that's okay because we can just glue it back down again. Alright, so let's stick her about here. Let's just lift that wing up. A bit unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. There you go. You'd never know. Okay, so that is adding a single focal image. So the next one is apply splatters or drips. Okay, right, well there's one thing I need to do before that. I just want to add a little bit of like shadow just underneath. So I've got a Stabilo all pencil here. Now this is a brown one. On a recent trip to an art shop, I spotted a white one and another black one, so I stocked up. So they're water-based pencils. So let me just grab a little bit of water onto a small brush. And you can see like I've activated the brown. So just a real kind of subtle ground, just where the little character stood. Now I could go in and add it directly to the page and then activate the colour, or you could do it on your worktop, your work surface, or whatever you want to call it. There we go. Quick and easy. So we've got a little bit of ground in there now. Okay, that's nice and dry. So we're back to what we said. So applying splatters or drips. Okay, so splatters, let's have a little bit of black paint, a little black gesso. Again, this is an old one from Indigo Blue. You can tell it's quite old because it's gone a bit gloopy whoopy. Fan brush, perfect for trees but also for doing splatters. Let's get some water. Put some water in a little spritzy bottle and we'll just lighten that up, put my fingers over. Okay, that'll do. Like I said, these ingredients, I mean, you can add your own amounts. just like a normal recipe. Just because it says add splatters, it doesn't say how many or what colour. You can do what you want. Okay, so splatters are dry. So the next stage is to make marks with your fingers. So you can do that by either putting some paint on your fingers and adding some marks onto the page, or use your fingers to make marks, which is what I'm going to do. So I've got a Tim Holtz Distress Crayon in Vintage Photo. So I haven't used this in quite a few years. So again, I'm going to just add a little bit on the bottom, and then I'm going to smudge and make marks with my fingers. Did I throw that tissue away? I did, didn't I? There we go. So these Distress crayons are water activated, so they will work from the moisture from your finger. There you go. Or you could just add a little bit of water on your desktop, or even just with a wet wipe. Just pick up a little moisture on your finger with a wet wipe. And that's all kind of the moisture you actually need. So I'm just creating just some horizontals and verticals. Just to create a little bit of visual interest. Just a little bit. There we go. Got to that stage where I forgot to talk again. Okay, so again, that'll do. Don't need to do any more. Just a little bit is enough. Okay, so add a quote, a phrase, or a title. Okay, so we're back to stamping again. So I've got these little journal phrases that I designed for Indigo Blue. There's a couple of sets of these. There's some new ones coming out this year as well. So I think there's 3 new sets coming out this year at some point. Don't know when. Haven't spoken to them yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Stay Curious on this one. So if you're interested, these are also on my website. I do still have stock of these. Right, so we've got Stay Curious, and I think I'm going to stamp it onto this book text. There we go. Did I put all those inks away? No, I didn't. Good for me. He says. Wondering what he did with it. It was there, look. Right, so shall we use a little skinny mini for these? I think we will. So let me just grab my set of skinny minis down. Right, I think that one's going to work. That one's the right size. So ink up. So again, I'm using that brown colour. It says ganache, but to be honest, it's mostly, it looks like black. Right, so let's, here we go. Easy as that. I probably could have just stamped that directly onto the page, but do you know what? What the heck? Right, let's bring that back in. I think or should we do it down there? Let's do it down there. I think I like it there. So let's turn it over, bring that glue stick back in. It's the thinness of the paper from the dictionary which is causing it to rattle when you're grabbing hold of it. It's a pink stick or purple stick, but it will disappear. It goes clear. Okay. So that's the quote added. So should we use that brown pencil again? Let's create a little box in that watercolour pencil. Just to go around. Right, okay, so let's grab some water and we'll just activate it. And just turn the page around. And then we'll just bring that across. Could do the same thing with pen, but there are lots of materials that you can substitute and do different things with. That's the fun, is choosing what you want to work with today. And it can be different every day. Okay, let me just get that dried off. So before I go on to the next step, or the last ingredient for the art journal page, I think I want to add a little bit of colour to the wings. So I've just dragged out my coloured pencils. So these are Derwent Colour Soft pencils. So I've got pale mint. And what's this colour there? Pale lavender. Lavender and mint. So, probably will be quite subtle because the pale colours. So let's do a little bit of a transition from the green to the lavender. Just so that a little bit iridescent. Don't get my colouring pencils out very often, but let's add a little bit of sunshine into those wings. I think just towards there. There we go. That's actually better, isn't it? Just add a little bit, and then we can add a little bit of colour just into that hat area. And then if we've got a red, and then just to finish off, a little bit of a rose colour, just to add a little bit of colour to her cheeks. Okay, so that's enough for that. Right, so last one then, doodle around the page edges. Okay, so let's have a look. I've got Posca pen. Yep, that's still. So all I'm going to do is just bring that round. Any kind of pen would do for this. Even a biro probably. And of course, since you've got doodle in there, you could, if you wanted, just add some more doodle. Let's just add a few doodle dots, just where those black splatters don't really show up that well. You could add other doodles as well if you wanted to, just add a couple of crosses, just to kind of vary the way it looks if you wanted to. But it doesn't take much. You don't need to add huge amounts. Now I'm looking at that now thinking it's all very warm, it's all very pinky. It could do with just having a little bit of extra colour adding to it. And I'm thinking either a little bit of green or maybe just a little bit of turquoise. Broken china. Just a tiny bit of blue. Sometimes is really all it needs. Just to add a different kind of dimension onto the page. And because we're not having to play with specific colours, peacock feather. Let's have a look. There are no suggested colours to play with this month, or at all this year, so really your colour scheme's your own. Okay, I think I'm happy with that page. So let's just quickly review what we've done. We've glued torn book text paper fragments. Yes, we have. We've added a thin layer of gesso or colour. Well, that's what the pinky colour is in the background. We added stamping to the page with the script, but we've also used the Stay Curious and the Tim Holtz stamp. So we've added a single focal image. We've applied splatters or drips, those little black splatters there. We've made marks with our fingers. That's what the grid pattern is. We've added a quote to her. And we've doodled around the page edges. And we've also included somewhere in there the word grow. We've also got the word spectrum, and also the word triangle is in there too somewhere. So I think, all in all, that is January's mission inspiration accomplished. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create my art journal page from those prompts for January. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up because it really does help the channel. Don't forget you can share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. But also, if you'd like to join us in our Mission Inspiration Facebook group this year, then there is a clickable link in the description area below this video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget to check out your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. Thank you.